And Green Bay police say a man is in critical condition after he was hit by a car while riding his bike. Officers say it happened this afternoon at the intersection of Oakland and Walnuts in Green Bay. They say the driver sped off and was spotted on Velp. After a short pursuit, the driver was taken into custody on Moraine Way. Well, it was much nicer outside today, but is that going to last? Meteorologist Gino Recchi has a look at your first forecast. Gino.
Yeah, Mo, we got a couple days of gradual warmth, but then we're going to be cooling down. I'll get into that in a couple minutes. But for today, it was a little warmer. At least we had some sunshine, some filtered sunshine with some of those high-level cirrus clouds. Our average high for this time of year is 43, so we were 2 degrees below the normal. Record high 73 degrees set back in 2007. Now, we got some changes on the way. A storm system is going to bring in some rainfall. I have more on that coming up in a couple minutes.
Gino, thank you. And covering America now, Washington, D.C. is quiet tonight after one day after the massive March for Our Lives rally there and across the nation and the world. But student activists say they're not done just yet. Jennifer Johnson takes it from here.
One day after the massive March for Our Lives rally, a quieter Washington. But the teenagers demanding stricter gun control laws remain ready for battle, vowing to go to the polls and vote out lawmakers who won't act.
If we can encourage these people to take action, to be participating in our society, in our politics, then that's going to encourage our voters to actually turn out.
Youth voter turnout in the 2014 midterm elections was the lowest in 40 years.
I believe that we will win!
But March organizers believe 2018 will be different, and they are ready to fight the NRA.
The second we want to put common sense regulations on these assault weapons, the NRA will say they are trying to steal every single one of your guns. And people believe them. Fortunately, the majority of the American people see past this.
Some lawmakers are hopeful this youth movement could lead to change.
This era of fake news and disinformation, to see the genuineness of all those young people, I think this time it's going to be different.
But many Republicans are more reluctant.
Every citizen, as long as they are law-abiding, also has the right to exercise their Second Amendment rights.
The students also say the newly signed government spending bill, allocating $2.3 billion to make schools safer, is not enough to change the epidemic of gun violence.
But the one bill that could tighten up background checks is still stalled in Congress. It was introduced last November after the Texas church massacre. Jennifer Johnson, NBC News, Washington.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer held a press conference today to say why he's finally optimistic about gun control in America. Schumer spoke on how young people are focusing on 3 main issues when it comes to gun control, and those are background checks, protection orders, and banning assault weapons. He also insisted that if leaders would let bills on gun control just go to the floor, they'll get the green light.
And I will do everything in my power as Senate leader to get those bills to the floor, and I'm confident that they will pass and become law.
And as hundreds of thousands of people march around the country for gun control, one California county took a different approach to keeping guns off the street. The Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office hosted several gun buyback events yesterday. At the sheriff's headquarters, gun owners turned their guns in for cash, and within 2 hours, deputies collected hundreds of firearms. Some of the gun owners say they did this all for safety.
In my neighborhood, for a couple of years, there was like over 26 home invasion robberies. And these robberies, they would end up like stealing people's guns, and some of them police officers too. So they break into their safe or steal a whole safe, and then they end up with like a load of guns. So I didn't want to be a statistic.
And the firearms will be checked to see if any of them have been stolen. If they aren't stolen, they will be destroyed. And President Trump's plan to shake up his legal team is already facing some challenges. Trump's attorney says husband and wife legal duo Joe DeGeneva and Victoria Tensing will not be joining his defense team. He said, quote, if it was because of unspecified conflicts. Trump's top personal attorney, John Dowd, resigned last week over disagreements on how to handle the Russia investigation. This leaves Trump's legal team with less resources as Mueller's probe intensifies. Former President Barack Obama praised the young leaders behind the March for Our Lives rally against gun violence yesterday. Mr. Obama was speaking at a global leaders conference in Japan. He also talked about the North Korean nuclear issue, saying that negotiations with North Korea on its nuclear weapons program are hard because of the nation's isolation from the rest of the world.
I think North Korea is an example of a country that is so far out of the international norms and so disconnected from the rest of the world. That in some ways it makes it more difficult to find ways to pressure them.
As part of his Asia trip, Mr. Obama has already made stops in Singapore, New Zealand, and Australia. His work after leaving office has been focusing on helping young leaders. Authorities in Mexico say an Iowa family of 4 died after inhaling toxic gas at a rented condo. This happened while the family was on vacation. Mexican officials say the deaths of 4 members of the Sharp family were ruled as suffocations due to gas. More details are expected to be released on how it happened. The bodies were found early Friday at a resort on the Yucatan Peninsula. Retail gas prices across the U.S. have gone up by an average of nearly 7 cents during the past 2 weeks. Right now, the average cost of a gallon of regular gasoline is around $2.66. That's 30 cents higher since last year. Analysts say the main reason for the hike is the steep cost of oil. The experts do estimate that pump prices may go even higher if the cost of oil continues to go up as it has. And rent prices are also going up, the fastest rate in nearly 2 years. Experts say the median rent in the U.S. rose to 2.8% over the past year to more than $1,400. Experts blame tight housing markets for this increase. And it's been a busy week for Facebook and its CEO Mark Zuckerberg after news of massive data collection has sparked a lot of concerns. Firm with ties to President Trump's 2016 campaign has been accused of Facebook's user data to influence the presidential election from 2016. Now, Facebook is apologizing, taking out full-page ads to address this situation.
This was a major breach of trust, and I'm really sorry that this happened. We have a basic responsibility to protect people's data.
But not all users have been very forgiving. The hashtag #DeleteFacebook has been trending on Twitter as a social media site grapples with this fallout. And now on to some state news. We've learned tech giant Foxconn is expecting to start construction in Racine County within the next 2 months or so. The company says there's no doubt they made the right decision to build a $10 billion facility with up to 13,000 jobs in the Badger State, and things are moving pretty fast. Just this week, Foxconn hired 3 contractors with local ties to build this campus.
We'll be starting the construction within the next 60 days or so. So real jobs will be created.
And Wu, who you just saw there, believes Foxconn job opportunities will bring in more people to stay and work here in the Badger State. A new study from the CDC found 1 in 4 Wisconsin residents binge drink at least once a month. The study defines binge drinking as when a woman has 4 or more drinks or a man has 5 or more drinks during a short period of time. The study found Wisconsin binge drinkers had an average of almost 490 binge drinks per year. Now that exceeds the national average of almost 470 drinks. Well, still ahead on NBC 26 at 10, someone is taking home this new ride. It's from 1985 after it's rebuilt, all thanks to some local high school students. First, what's the weather going to look like for the rest of the weekend? Forecasts up next.
And now, your NBC 26 Storm Shield forecast with meteorologist Gino Recchia.
It's a little bit cool, temperature of 27 degrees in Green Bay with winds coming in out of the east at about 5 miles per hour, making the wind chill of 22. But we will be gradually warming. You see the temperature departure from normal over the next couple of days. We're going to be getting back into the 50s by Tuesday and Wednesday. But then take a look as we get towards the end of the work week, going back down below the average and perhaps even into the 30s. Right now, though, 26 degrees in Anago, 25 in Mountain, down into 30 degrees in Sheboygan, 28 in Manitowoc right now. And good evening, Menominee. You're at 26 degrees at the moment. We got winds coming in out of the east and the northeast at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And that should be the case as we continue throughout the entire overnight period. They will be changing out of the east and southeast tomorrow as we warm up into the lower to mid 40s. But that's making wind chills right now with those temperatures feeling like 22 in Green Bay, 21 in Oconto, 20 degrees both in Appleton and also in Oshkosh. Quiet conditions right now, mostly clear skies. We had a few high-level cirrus clouds, but no low-level clouds. However, to our neighboring west, you do see some snowfall even developing over parts of Minnesota. However, as the storm system moves eastward towards our area, it's going to be bringing in some warmer air with it, so we should be seeing rainfall out of this storm system. And you also see some rainfall right now ongoing in parts of Nebraska and also South Dakota. This is the storm system getting its act together right now over the Central Plains. That will be moving up to the north northeast over the next 24 to 36 hours, and that's going to bring in that rainfall for us. But as for tonight, mostly clear skies as temperatures cool down into the mid and upper 20s. Light winds out of the east and northeast. As we get into the morning hours tomorrow, maybe a little bit of some sunshine real early on, but you see as we get towards the later evening hours, that rainfall really starts to move through here. Here we're at 8:30 at the evening. Then we continue on into the late overnight period. You see some yellows right here. We could perhaps have a slight chance of some embedded thunder and lightning as the heaviest rainfall moves through right around midnight and afterwards. Then we get into the morning hours, the majority of that rainfall moving out of the area, and we just have some cloud cover behind it. Now, how much rainfall are we talking about here? It looks like a good consensus right now is between 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch of rain all across the entire viewing area. And just looking at a couple forecast models for the Green Bay area, we're kind of averaging around 4/10 of an inch of rainfall out of the storm system. We'll need it. It's been a very dry month. 26 degrees for our overnight low, mostly clear skies, and then we should be rising up into the mid-40s tomorrow, starting off dry, but later in the evening after 6, 7 o'clock, that's when the rain starts to move in here. So then Tuesday morning, a little bit of some rain showers, but we do see a little bit of sunshine late Tuesday evening, then back into the mid-50s as we get towards Wednesday. Nice and sunny skies too, but then you see temperatures start to cool back down into the 40s and even the 30s by the weekend. Yeah, it's going to be a chillier Easter Sunday.
Yeah, no, after it rains, we're still ahead on NBC 26. Someone is taking home this ride from 1985 after it was rebuilt, all thanks to some local high school students. We'll have that after the break. Welcome back. A year-long project for the Freedom High School Automobile Club is finally coming to fruition, and you might see it on the road. Students rebuilt this 1985 Toyota 4Runner that was donated to them after putting more than a year's work into it. It was raffled off at the Green Bay Motorama event today, and the winner is a Freedom High School graduate himself.
I just, bought one ticket yesterday, and I've been following along with it because I did go to school in Freedom, so I was following it along. It was kind of close to my heart when I saw it.
And proceeds from the raffle will go towards the school's automobile club. The first ever statue of the late British rock star David Bowie was unveiled today in England. Music fans gathered for the ceremony that was near London. It's the town where Bowie debuted material from 1972. Bowie died in January of 2016, just 2 days after his 69th birthday and the release of his final album, Black Star. The sculptor Andrew Sinclair was there as well. And check this out. This is the world's largest cruise ship, which is set to be complete and ready for takeoff. Royal Caribbean's Symphony of the Seas on Saturday left the French shipyard where it was built for Barcelona. Its first trip with passengers is scheduled for March 31st. And that massive ship is almost as long as the Empire State Building. It can hold nearly 7,000 passengers. Exciting to see. Well, thank you for spending your Sunday night with me, but stick around for Sports Rewind with Kelly Price. She's coming up next.
Welcome on into the Sunday Sports Rewind. I'm your host, Kelly Price. Well, for the St. Norbert men's hockey team, it seemed a trip to the Frozen Four was inevitable. And the whole season was leading up to the Division III national title game. And the Green Knights returned home to Titletown from Lake Placid this afternoon after defeating 6th seed Salve Regina last night. And they didn't spare on the drama. After going up 2-0 early, the Seahawks let St. Norbs know that in their first championship appearance, they weren't going anywhere, tying up the game 2-2, which meant overtime, and then it meant double overtime. Salve Regina outshot St. Norbert 14-9 in the first OT, but the Green Knights took an 8-3 edge in the second, and in the end, the buildup was worth the result. The Brad Pung game winner. Just a day earlier, Pung's hand had been hit by a puck, breaking his middle finger and requiring stitches on both sides of his hand. But that didn't stop the captain from sealing SNC's 5th national championship in program history.
I feel like that's how it works out all the time. The guy with the injury ends up getting the luck or the bounce or whatever. So, very fortunate to have scored that goal. There's no doubt in my mind. I was playing that hockey game for sure. Everybody dreams of playing in a national championship game, and I wasn't going to let a hurt finger get in the way of that.
SNC finishes the season on an impressive 12-game winning streak. Fellow Green Knight captain Tanner Fraze assisted all 3 goals and was named the championship's most outstanding player. And despite Frozen Four runs, Fraze has not been able to hoist that D3 trophy, and until long last he did last night.
Yeah, I mean, I've been holding on to her pretty tight, not really wanting to let her go, but you know, a lot of the seniors been getting